Meanwhile, we are continuing our next presentations that are going to be delivered by three speakers. The first speaker is Mariglo Laririt. Correct me if I'm wrong to mention your name. Are you there already?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you correctly pronounce my name. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So before going to her presentation, I would like to read her short bio. Mariglo Laririt is a 10 Knots Director of Sustainability. She has been with 10 Knots for over 26 years. She and her family relocated to El Nido, Palawan, Philippines in 1999 and has lived there since. Marix has been part of the 10 Knots Management Committee since 2006 as the champion of environment and community engagement. Bottom lines, under her watch, 10 Knots has become the most awarded tourism company in sustainability in the country. She oversees the company's land holding, ensuring that they are protected from various forms of threat. An education advocate, a mental health support campaigner, a WWF conservation hero, and a mother to two biological kids and many non-biological ones, and a wife to Angelo. Merrick was also a finalist to the 2021 World Sustainability Award under the Sustainability Leader category. Okay, so yes, now the screen is for yours, ma'am. We give you 15 minutes of presentations. So,
Yes,
yes.
Yes, thank you so much. And I would like to request the organizers to please do the honors of sharing the screen for me, in as much as it has been quite challenging for us here to ensure that our signal is fine. So as mentioned earlier by our host, I am Mariglo Laririt. I am the Director for Sustainability of 10 Knots, which is a group of companies based and operating in El Nido, Palawan, Philippines. So I'm happy to be given the opportunity to share with you the benefits of a simple yet audacious tagline that we have consistently strived to adhere to, and how that tagline helped us pivot to address the challenges of the pandemic. But first, please allow me to provide some context. Next slide, please. We are located in El Nido, Palawan, a municipality, an area in the Philippines that is of remarkably high biodiversity, being part of the Coral Triangle, together with a lot of our friends here in AEN. I heard from Indonesia earlier and Malaysia as well, but also with a correspondingly amazing terrestrial wildlife offerings. So El Nido is like a smaller version of our country, the Philippines, in that it is archipelagic. It means it has several islands in its surrounding seaboard. Our 4 island resorts were established over a wide timeline between 1979 and 2012, each one mindfully and carefully developed and operated. That would be the next slide, please. So here I would attempt, as Andrew has shared with his slides earlier, some of the features that have made our area really remarkable. So be it in the mountain ridge or in our reefs, there is just so much life. It's teeming with life. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yes, so here in the photos are our 4 multi-awarded group of island resorts that have been run sustainably. Again, as I mentioned, they had been developed, spread out over a wide timeline between 1979 and 2012. And they are carefully developed, operated with a maximum of 50 keys in each island. So as a result, next slide, please. We are the most awarded resorts company in the country, with some of the logos here of those that have awarded us shown on screen. And the key to that is an adage that we have been living by. Next slide, please. We have been offering leisurely, engaging, and educational services to our guests with the least possible impact to the natural environment, and we promote respect for the local communities and culture. Next slide, please. So over the course of time, we have been able to come up with a template, and our company has entrusted to us, the operators, a township. So in 2014, we unveiled a township on the mainland of the municipality, and we called it Leo Beach. It is ecologically master planned. It's a resort town. Alongside the boutique hotels, the terminal, airport terminal, the shops and residences, we have put aside 75 of the 324-hectare property as carbon forests that will never be touched by any development. Next slide, please. As a company, we abide by a quadruple bottom line approach against which we measure our performance. And these are as follows, and as showed on the screen: financial growth, bottom line, community engagement, environmental stewardship, and organizational development. As mentioned by our host earlier, I am part of the management committee who is in charge of the two bottom lines, community engagement and environmental stewardship. And we measure performance in the same way that we measure financial growth and organizational development. In 2006, we created a sustainability department. Next slide, please. And alongside it, a tagline that has since become the symbol of simplicity in sustainability and a rallying cry for the entire organization. In 2007, we launched Be Green, with green standing for guard, respect, educate, El Nido. In terms of how this is laid out, it was initially a 5-part training program for all of us without exemption. Putting everyone on the same page, the management committee required the participation of everyone across the board. Over the years, Be Green has taken on many forms as we brought it to the many stakeholders outside of our organization. So for an example, before anyone is let in as a contractor to do work with our company, the staff of the contracting company would all be required to go through the Be Green training program. That way, everyone understands where the company stands on items like disposable plastics, for example, and food waste, and all these other items that that particular stakeholder would have a relevant concern over. We had also brought it to so many schools. Almost all the schools here in El Nido and in other municipalities have invited us to speak to school children. We have brought this to coastal communities, still with that very simple common thread of ensuring that we all understand each other when we talk about conservation and when we talk about sustainable tourism and what role it plays in the context of the community. Now, the succeeding slides will show you also how we put Be Green into practice, but the slide in front of us shows how this has also not gone unnoticed, with several organizations awarding us, rewarding us for our efforts in transforming Be Green beyond a training program for employees to something that has been shared with just a larger audience. So again, the succeeding slides, next slide, please, will show how we put this into practice. These are but 3 examples. One is because of Be Green, we instill the values of stewardship to the concerned communities. Next slide, please. We ensure that all of our partners within the organization, our guides, our nature guides, are trained properly. And the logos, the icons that you see on screen are the different topics that we take up with them, that we discuss with them when we do our nature interpretation courses, to ensure that they not only know about personal stories in their interactions with nature, but also scientific grounding that they share with guests and other team members, other employees. Next slide, please. And because of that, we are able to manage visitors, which we believe is an integral part of running a sustainable tourism business. When we talk about conservation, we have to ensure proper visitor management and proper conduct of guest activities. Most of all, has become an opportunity for us to share with our guests what makes the place that they're in very unique. And so when we appeal to them to tread lightly, it is something that they very well understand. So it's a combination of ensuring that there is experiential activities as well as an educational one that blends both body and mind and engages their soul into the experience that they engage in. So it is this overarching principle, and we may call it software, called Be Green, that enables us to reach out to our community about shared stewardship of our natural environment. We train our guides, like I said, in nature interpretation regularly, which is a strategy for visitor management and conduct of guest activities. So we were doing fine until, of course, the pandemic hit. Next slide, please. So just as in any part of the world, tourism in the Philippines took a very, very bad hit. According to government, key destinations in Palawan lost over 3 billion in tourism receipts. And this was a report that was filed last year. So we can only surmise that the number has ballooned over the past few months. Like in different parts of the world, our country is right now experiencing a surge once again. I think this is our third wave of COVID surges, and it certainly has not helped us in our attempts to recover somewhat from all the ground that was lost over the past 2 years. Next slide, please. But what does it mean for us who have been advocating being green? Be Green is a very nifty tagline because it enables us to tweak it a little bit and it still comes out very clear. Like, because of COVID and because of the health protocols that we had to integrate into our operations, we came up with a Be Green, Be Clean tagline, which saw us research and develop operating procedures that tourism establishments, not just ours, could use during this pandemic. So we shared this manual, if you will, of operations with the rest without compromising our values and sustainability, but of course, putting at the top of our minds that these things are new, the way we clean things, the way we greet guests, and the way we treat each other had to be all within the context of the new normal, as they say. Next slide, please.
You have more, you have 3 minutes more.
All right, okay. So what makes a Be Green, Be Great experience? Next slide, please. Yes, next slide, please. So we always have to make sure that we make storytellers out of the people that we work with. The new health protocols have just been very trying for everybody, and most of all for my colleagues in the industry. These are, we live in the outdoors. Our entire business model thrives on being outdoors and being with people, obviously. So this is the nature of the industry. But we had to make sure that it's integrated. It's not something that we deny to our guests. We made ours, our colleagues, storytellers, and we try to ensure that nature is still the star. It's still right smack in the middle of the story, so that people can somehow understand that while we struggle with what the pandemic has brought about upon us, nature is still going to take precedence over everything that we do. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And we do not deny that safety is our priority. And the next few slides are going to show us how we are able to do this, so that over the past years, despite all these restrictions, we somehow have been able to plod on. Of course, not in numbers that we have had prior to the pandemic, but just the fact that we keep on going, making sure, sending signals to the world that El Nido is still out there. We are struggling, but we are definitely going to be there, and we will be more than ready when things become better to welcome our guests back. And the key to all this is that, like I said earlier, we have made nature the center of the whole experience. There's so much space so that it allows us to accommodate guests in small numbers, in regulated numbers, but most of all, working together with a crew, a group of colleagues who understand how it is to run a sustainable tourism enterprise at the time of the pandemic. So last slide, please. Yes, and the final slide, please. Yeah, so I put in a lot of nice pictures so that all of us could have some kind of joy in looking at them, hopefully entice you to come over and visit us when things allow us all to. Next slide, please. Yeah, so see you in El Nido very soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Mariglo. We'll continue it later, yeah, for the question and answer. And of course,
Sure.
you may, for the audience here, again, you may write down your questions on our chat box. And then later on, if it's then for the speakers who are still here, you may also direct answers via our chat. Yeah, and then later on we'll pick up some questions if it's many questions, of course, yeah, to manage our time. Okay, now we are going to the second presenter on this session, Mr. Nguyen Duk Hua Chuang. Again, sorry if, or correct me if I'm wrong to mention it. Are you here already?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay.
I'm ready.
Yes, okay. So before you start your presentation, I would like to read your short bio. Over the past 26 years, Mr. Chuang has established a strong reputation as a tourism professional in Vietnam. His full-time jobs include tourism researcher for Vietnam National Administration of Tourism, inbound travel business manager of Hanoi Tours Travel Company, senior tourism advisor of the Netherlands Development Organization, SNV, principal lecturers, head of tourism department of Hanoi University. His major areas of expertise are tourism planning and policy, sustainable tourism, travel business operation and management, tourism entrepreneurship. And besides the full-time job, he is a member of some professional organizations such as Vietnam Tourism Certification Board, certified trainer, Travel Life Sustainable Tourism certified auditor, executive hospitality program of Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs, certified tourism lecturers, IMC, Krems University Academic Manager for Vietnam or University of Palermo visiting professor. He has been intensively providing tourism professional consultancy and training services for Vietnam government authorities and tourism business association, and various international development organizations such as UN, EU, ADB, JICA, UNESCO, LuxDev, AFD, SNV, IUCN, WWF, Helvetas, and of course, still many more. Okay, so now I give you the screen for you, sir. Yeah, with maximum 15 minutes, please.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the introduction. So in the next 15 minutes, I would like to share with you our experiences on developing an ecotourism model in largest island in Vietnam, namely Phu Quoc. And this is the project that we have been done between 2016 to 2019, just which were concluded just few months before the COVID-19 outbreak. And today, I would like to talk about several issues that you can see on the slide, and I will keep it short on the first four topics and spend more time for presenting about the threats and our theoretical and applied concept that we have been applied in our project in Phu Quoc Islands, which focus on the ecotourism operation and management model for the marine protected area, and some key learning point that we got from our project. But before talking about our model, I would like to explain briefly about the concept of ecotourism that we has been adopted in our project. When I mentioned about the definition that was cited in the HONIS in 1999, which refer to the type of travel to the protected area, I would like to stress that our project ecotourism must take place in the boundary of kind of protected area, because they have the highest level of protection and very distinctive natural resources, which have the low impact, which have educate travelers, and which contribute to the conservation, but at the same time, which brings the economic benefits and political empowerment for the local communities. And we, as the ecotourism project in Vietnam, we of course have to adhere to our national definitions of ecotourism provided in the Vietnam tourism law on 2005. So as you can see on the screen, and in that definition, the ecotourism will mainly emphasize on the nature-based destinations, conservation, sustainable management and development, income generations, and ensuring the local participation and the benefits. So this is what we have strictly adopted in our project. And our project site was Phu Quoc Islands, and it's of course is one of the very famous tourist destinations. That island is located in the Gulf of Thailand, and it is largest island in Vietnam, with a total area of 574 square kilometers, and with a population of nearly 180,000 people. And nowadays it becomes a third island city in Vietnam, and which were listed in one of the 49 national tourism resorts in Vietnam as of 2020. And that destination have 3 protected area designations as classified by IUCN, and is in that destination there is a national park, marine protected area in the south, national park in the north, and is located between biosphere reserve. You can see that the degree of protection are varied in the type of protected area. And this is beautiful islands with the maritime equation and monsoon climate. And there are various tropical forest ecosystem that we can find on the islands. And the most special is the seagrass, because it's a living cradle. For Dogen, it's of course the endangered species, or the marine turtle that we can find in the island. And the island have plenty of very fine beaches. And the island is also not only famous for its natural resources, but also this is the very famous for other socio-economic development activity on the island, such as the fish salt productions, which rank top in all provinces in Vietnam, and it's the best fishing ground, mainly for squid and cuttlefish in the south region of Vietnam. And agriculture is another key economic activity on the island. And of course, tourism has been increasingly developed in the recent year. If we come to the islands, few years ago, it was still very quiet islands with best stunning beaches and underdeveloped tourism destinations, when the roads are still musty and with very simple beachside pleasures, such as eating the fresh seafood on the beach, and with a very little tourism infrastructure and facility. But nowadays, when we come to Phu Quoc, the wide range of tourism infrastructure and facility that we can find. And you can see that in 2019, they received over 1.5 million visitors coming to that island. It's making one of the most crowded tourist destination in Vietnam, and with lots of upscale or developed tourism infrastructure and services that you can see. And together with the high influx of the incoming visitors, there are already a lot of threats on biodiversity conservation, of course, together with many other negative environmental impacts that we can find in the islands. But our project just focus lastly on the biodiversity conservation. And there were 11,000 registered fishing boats in order to serve for increasing demand of the local population and export of the seafood to the nearby provinces. So they give more and more license to build and to operate the fishing boats, and which become the largest fishing boats in the southern island part of Vietnam. And with that number of the fishing boats, and we can experience the overexploitation of the aquatic resources in the coastal area and reducing the aquatic and seafood reserve. So we, of course, have seen some improper or overfishing activity that are considered as unsustainable, because nowadays the fishermen know how to use advanced equipment in position and detection of the location of the fish, and they use appropriate fishing techniques to catch the fish, which cause the decrease in the stock of the fish and the fishing stock. We have experienced the decrease in the number of dugong, or we can say it's called sea cow. So it's a decrease in its number, and sea horse or tortoise are also depleted due to the over-exploitation. And the diver in the island use cyanide to capture the reef fish and other marine species, and also it's the destructive fishing activities, and with the overdevelopment on the mainland, so there are a lot of forests and coral reef, and even very serious pollutions for the construction activity in the island. So our project, when we found out the problem in the islands, so we try to develop a theoretical model, and then we develop the applied model for tourism, for conservation, and conservation for tourism development. This is the interrelationship between tourism and development and conservation. So as you can see that in our model, so ecotourism development can help to limit the impact of tourism on biodiversity based on environmental interpretation, raising awareness, limiting the impact on the biodiversity based on carrying capacity management of the site, or limiting the community impact on biodiversity by encouraging the participation and empowerment for the local communities, provide opportunity for visitors to contribute to biodiversity conservation by taking concrete actions to help them to engage in the conservation, and create the mechanism for contribute materially to the conservation activity, so that we can achieve one of the biodiversity conservation. And at the same time, when we are able to preserve and protect the biodiversity, so it will help us to increase the values of the biodiversity and contributing to the tourism awareness by the famous image of the biodiversity value with the actual pressure, enhancing the attractiveness of ecotourism product and contributing to an increase in the visitors' payment for the services that they can receive. So we figure out those interrelated relationships between the two main construct of our model, and to make it work. So we have the local government authorities who are the marine protected area, who are the site managers of this protected area, to create the structure that help them to coordinate different stakeholders in the management and development of ecotourism activities within that protected area from the provincial level.
So Richard, 1 minute left.
Yeah, I can see. Thank you. So this is just my very last slide. And then we put them together and help them to create the tourist service center, so that they can work directly with the tourism services or enterprises, and with the collaboration of the local community. So we have very detailed function and tasks of different components in our model. And there are a lot of the key lessons that we learned from our work that we can see here. So we need to maintain the authenticity and the distinctiveness of the destination, involvement of communities, develop the code of conduct for the visitors and other stakeholders, ensures the qualities of the services, the conservation and development much, and threats and income generations, or securing the exclusive use of the resources, or community cooperative and social enterprise working together with the biosphere reserve and the marine protected area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Nguyen, sorry. Again, I would like to invite the audiences. For the one who want to ask, you may chat into our chat box, and then later on also don't forget to write your email address so that the speaker can replay your or answer your questions if there is no time to answer in this session. Yeah, and now I would like to invite the next speaker, Mrs. Sihkami Genting. Are you here already?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, so before that, I would like to read your bio first. Sihkami is a digital enthusiast and is an tech expert. She has big interest in online media and has been working in a digital industry for the last 10 years with focus on different tech markets in Southeast Asia. With her work experiences abroad such as Germany, Turkey, South Africa, Southeast Asia, and her broad knowledge in the industry, she now found a new passion in sustainability. After finding a small remote island in Sulawesi, she created an introduction of sustainable living and runs ecotourism trip, exploring recycled sustainable material and driftwoods for each building, using only solar panels for energy, collecting rainwater, and build a permaculture garden as a food source. She managed to store carbon and operate the island sustainably. Her dream is to provide solar boats for locals. She now runs social entrepreneurship with seaweed farming and soap making with Pacholi. During her free time, Sihkami is helping Togian Conservation Foundation with conservation project for remote village in Indonesia. Okay, now we would like to hear and share your presentations. Sihkami, the screen is yours, please. 15 minutes, yeah?
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mbak Uji. Can someone help me to present my presentation, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Cool. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here to be able to talk to you guys. And first of all, I would like to say thank you to AEN, Asian Ecotourism Network, and Indekon also, Pak Ari, for the opportunity and introduction for me to speak today. So, so I would like to talk about a case study on remote island ecotourism and economic development on Indonesia's Togian Islands. Okay, next. Yeah, next, please. Okay. So yeah, actually, Mbak Uji already talked about my biography, yeah, but yeah, basically my background is digital advertising. I've been in the industry for more than 10 years, but then I'm bored with the industry, and I wanted to find the meaning of life, and I want to have a useful life, and to be able to give to the local community. And also, thankfully and fortunately, my parents own this island. My mom is actually from Sulawesi. My mom is watching right now. And so yeah, they have this island, and I quit my job, and then I moved to Bali to learn permaculture design. And then after that, I started to build this sustainable island for conservation and ecotourism. Okay, next. Yeah, so here's about Togian Islands. For those who've been here in Togian Islands, you probably know how difficult it is to get here. It's very, very remote. It's located in the Gulf of Tomini. It has 7 islands, and the habitats is seagrass, mangrove, atoll, and lots of different species and different corals. The islands is first suggested for protection in 84, and now currently is protected under a biosphere, UNESCO biosphere heritage, and it's a part of national park, Indonesian national park. So we have about 59 villages with around 80,000 people live in Togian, and the main activities are fishing and farming. What unique about Togian is we have endangered species such as Tarsius, hornbill, babirusa, dugong, and also coconut crab. Next. Yeah, so here's the map of Togian Islands. There's actually like a few big islands, and then there's a small island on the top left that is Una Una, which has a volcano mountain. Okay, next. Yeah, so how remote is Togian? We don't have direct flights. We have airport just recently opened a few years ago, and it's via Palu, and also you can come via Gorontalo and use a ferry from Gorontalo. The public ferry for the locals from the mainland to the last part of Togian runs once a week, and it takes about 10 hours. So you can imagine how difficult it is to live here. There is no phone connection. I'm actually right now using satellite internet, solar powered satellite internet. So thank you for the sun. And speedboat for tourists is going every day actually, but it's going to Wakai, only to the center of Togian. The annual visitors, the highest numbers is 24,000 people in 2018. That was before pandemic and also before the earthquake and tsunami. And diving is still the main activities, but we have also stingless jellyfish. We have bird watching for hornbill, and many other sea activities. Next. So ecotourism and economic development. Actually, Togian Islands is very unique. We have this Bajau ethnic group, or sea nomads, the people who live floated in the underwater. Their houses is basically on top of the water, and it has a very specific special culture and technology in terms of fishing. And the because it's located also in coral triangles, so there are many different kinds of, like, hundreds species, different kinds of fish, corals, and we have dolphins, we have sharks. I can see sharks from the beach, dugong, and also green turtles. And the product that we are exporting copra from coconut, from the abundant natural resources. I'm gonna share more on my experience on this, but yeah, we're basically exporting also patchouli oil to China, to Malaysia, to Japan. I myself also have a seaweed farm and patchouli farm, and also permaculture farm. This picture is a hornbill. You can see it from the village behind the island. You can see it every 6 p.m. They will come back from hunting, and they come with the big groups. It's very interesting to see. Next, please. So the current issues, I think it's also faced by other resorts in Southeast Asia, is lack of resources and preservation, and also education on sustainability. So all of these villages, they exporting patchouli, right? And they've been using the soil so much so that the soil is degraded, you know, and they don't know how to give love to the soil. So it's become very important in the future and the next generation to focus on this. Waste management is also a problem, but I'm happy that we don't have a big population here, so it's still quite manageable. Conservation and climate change, obviously, it's a problem for everyone. Government infrastructure on the roads, access to water and electricity is very limited. There are many villages don't have electricity, so they've been giving a solar panel by the government, but because they are poor, they need to sell those solar panels. So in the end, they ended up with nothing. Next, please. Yeah. So this is a lesson learned in this case in the island Togoeng Ecologist. This is our island. This is very small. It's a 1.5 hectare island. Actually, in the front there's no mangrove, but in the back it's surrounded with mangrove. So we have a mangrove walk, and we have tarsius living in the island. We can try to spot them in nature in their habitats. And we only have 3 bungalows at the moment. We don't want to make 10 bungalows. We only, I think, maximum 4 or 5 bungalows, because we really focus on tourism capacity and island capacity, because we're really depend on sun for electricity, and rain for our water. So we've been collecting electricity from our solar panel. So we're off grid. We don't have PLN. We don't have any connection to the mainland. And we also collecting, all of our buildings have rainwater collection. And we have tanks everywhere. It's about, I think in total we have 20,000 liter tanks. Yeah, so we cannot do mass tourism. You know, we only can serve 5 to 6 people. But yeah, I'll share it to you in the next slide. But we also have Permaculture Garden, where I applied my knowledge and skill into the garden. So it's not fully sustained yet. I mean, we still have to buy 50% from the mainland, but my dream to have everything fully sustained from the island. We have cucumber, we have tomatoes, we have beans, we have chilies, of course. We have almost the main vegetables. We're also promoting ecotourism for sure. And also we do sometimes programs with Togian Conservation Foundation, led by Stephanie
you have
Garvin.
1 minute left. Sorry, you have 1 minute left.
Right, next. I think we can skip this. Yeah, we can next. Yeah, so I just want to share you the photos in this last minute. So this is our guests. We're visiting a Bajo village people, where they learn spearfishing and they drink coffee with the locals. They really like these activities. Next. Yeah, this is also another guest. She's actually booking a class with a 10-year-old local boy to learn how to paddle around the island. So another ecotourism activities for the guests. Next. Next, please. Okay. Yes, we also providing not only snorkeling trip, but also a spear fishing from the Bajo. So the Bajo will teach them how to fish traditionally with the spear gun. Next. Yeah, so here's also a coral planting activities with the guests, the local community, and also Togian National Park team. They helping us with this program. Next. This is also another activities from the guests. They also learn Muay Thai from our guests. They share the skill to do Muay Thai. It's a very interesting activities. Next. Yeah, so for all of our guests, we also ask them to bring books for kids so they can give these books directly to the kids. Next. Yeah, also another tour is visiting local farm and eat fresh organic food from the island. Next. I think we only have like 1 or 2 slides of the photos. That's it. Yeah, so currently I'm doing women empowerment project with the village ladies. So we're making a natural handmade soap from coconut oil. So ladies from Siatu, from Tumbulawa and Kulinkinari, different villages, we collect them together and we make a soap and we sell it online and also directly. So you can find Togian Natural on Facebook or Instagram if you want to buy. Next. Yeah, this is the picture of the soap. I think you can next this. It's a different, we have different variants with seaweed, with the patchouli, with charcoal, with the coffee also. Yeah, next. I think that's the end of my presentation. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunities. And yeah, actually, this is just just to say I'm running out of time, I guess. If you have any questions, please contact me directly. I'll share you my email. Thank you, guys.
Okay, yes, thank you very much, Kami. It's inspiring, and I think we would like to let's say here I would like to only choose one question, and then later on the rest we will continue via chat or online or also an email. But then I think I would like to hear these questions from here from Indonesia. I think we're gonna have just one question, and here to all panelists. So I would like to ask here, how can we, the question is from the venue, Bapak Herman Suparman Simanjunta, to all panelists, but I will only choose one panelist. How can we measure the impact of ecotourism on nature conservation? Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so I will ask, please, here, Mr. Nguyen. Are you there? Would you please just give a short answer and then
that question?
yes.
Okay, so I can say our experience on managing the impact in our ecotourism side. So we have developed a monitoring indicator. So we have to carry out the survey of the site. So for instance, we have the survey and we measures how many square meter of the coral reef are there, and the number of the species of the fish and other marine creators living in the reef, or the water's qualities in the site, and so on. So we have a set up of a good indicator, so we have to monitor the impact. So regularly, together with the marine protected area, we have the survey, and we see the growing in the numbers of the fishes and other species living on the reef, or the we also plant the coral on the reef so that we can see the trends. So that's the example of the indicator that we have used. Or we go to the local markets and we observe that they have the habit of trading the wildlife, and after a few period of time, so we stop the we work with the government authorities. So we try to stop that practice on the trader. So we see the decrease in the number of the wildlife that are on sale in the local markets, and so on. So we have a lot of indicators, tourism indicators, or the biodiversity indicator.
Yeah.
So this is our system.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so that's from Vietnam side. So I hope that the other panelists can send their answer via our chat, or otherwise then we'll send you the emails. Yeah.